Well, another major grassroots project has been announced in Michigan for election integrity. A group of activists are saying they're going to run a citizen-initiated law project for a full forensic audit, such as the kind we had in Arizona. Is this going to be effective? Let's talk about it. First, let me pull up the story here. This is the major story at Us Against Media a couple days ago. Michigan follows Arizona's lead for a full forensic audit. And there you see some of the people. This is at a meeting in Jackson, I guess. A team of attorneys, experts, local candidates announced their plan to carry out a full forensic audit for the state of Michigan. And here is their news release. It's very small on the screen. I'm sorry, guys. I couldn't find a larger version of it, but I will just read it to you. Monday, August 16th, 2021, Jackson, Michigan. On November 3rd, 2020, the people of the state of Michigan put their faith and trust into our election system and cast a vote for their choice of elected officials. Sadly, what we got instead was one of the greatest crimes in American history! Exclamation point. From switched votes in Antrim County to boarded up windows at the TCF Center, from ballots coming in the dead of night to hundreds of signed affidavits witnessing irregularities, the 2020 election was far from, quote, the most secure ever, as Jocelyn Benson famously said. So now they have this paragraph in red. For the integrity of our republic, to reestablish the confidence of our vote under the law, that all Michigan votes, sorry, it's very small to read here. All Michigan votes, regardless of party, are cast with equal protection under the law, and to restore the faith of all Michigan citizens and protect our most sacred right in voting, we are launching the DiPerno Pulitzer, VOTE, standing for Voting Operational Transparency Efficacy Act, for a full forensic audit of Michigan's 2020 general election. For the last several weeks, our team has been working with some of the best at what they do in putting together a bill that addresses the concerns of the 2020 election. We want the citizens of Michigan to know that this bill dives deep and completely into the election by thoroughly using a full forensic approach. On August 16th in Jackson, Michigan, with dozens of GOP and grassroots leaders from around the state of Michigan in attendance, we officially launched our campaign. In the coming weeks, we will be in full swing to collect signatures from across the state. This will require true patriotic volunteers to work as quickly, as diligently as possible so that we can put our bill on the desk of our legislators to sign into law. Please continue to follow us for updates where we will be, the status of the initiative, and how you can help be a part of this historic initiative to restore our republic. Signed, Matthew DiPerno, Jovan Pulitzer, John Roca, Darren Wisely, John Smith, John Rutan, Melissa Carone, Angela Rigas, and Ryan Kelly. And the article goes on to explain who they are, which we'll go over in a moment here. So what it sounds like they're doing, and yeah, you can see there's a whole video here. It's like almost 2 hours long, so you can check that out if you want. They're going to do a citizen-initiated law. And what that means is, well, it means a lot of things. First, it means they'll have to draft the law. Then it means they will have to collect 350,000 signatures in a 6-month period. And then either the legislature will vote to pass it and it will not be subject to the governor's veto, or if they do not, it goes on to the November 2022 ballot, where the voters will decide whether or not to make it a law. So let's talk about this. There's a number of things that they're going to have to do for this to work. The first thing is writing the bill. And that is not as simple as it sounds. You can't just say a full forensic audit. You have to explain exactly what all of those things are. So they say they've got the best and the brightest on this project. We will just have to see. We will have to see what language they come up with. It's going to be a brand new law because there's no existing statute to amend to add in a provision for a forensic audit. There is a provision in the state constitution that says any individual citizen has a right to an audit, but it just says as prescribed by law, and there's no language in the election law that says anything other than an audit is whatever the Secretary of State says it is. And that's what the courts have recently said, is that, yeah, whatever the Secretary of State calls an audit, she can call an audit, and that's the only thing you're guaranteed a right to. So first, they will have to get the language right, and it will have to then be approved by the Board of State Canvassers. You don't actually have to do that before you get the signatures, but if you don't do that, there's a chance that the Board of Canvassers, after you get the signatures, will come back and say the 100-word summary wasn't clear enough, what it was, et cetera, et cetera. So you really do want to get the Board of Canvassers to approve the language before you go out and do this. So that's step one. They have to actually write the proposed law. Then step two is collecting the 350,000 signatures in 6 months. And this is going to be very difficult. And here's where, in some of the other videos, we've talked about how Stand Up Michigan and Unlock Michigan have kind of made it seem like the Unlock Michigan project was all just the grassroots. And as we've shown you in other videos, no, they actually raised and spent about $3 million in Lansing money, which is the source of it, on Unlock Michigan to get the signatures, to have professional paid canvassers going out and getting signatures in addition to the signatures that the grassroots got themselves. So that's about how much it takes. I mean, maybe you could do it for less, but it still will take a serious amount of money for the signatures. Not to mention all the legal back and forth. I mean, first of all, writing the legislation itself is going to involve some serious attorneys' work. There would almost certainly be legal challenges to the petition. There always are with controversial ballot proposals. As we saw with Unlock Michigan, they had to sue the Board of State Canvassers. So there's, and lawyers get expensive very quickly. So they're going to have to raise some serious money to make this, to pull this off. And by the way, let's look at who are the major people on this team here. Most of them are candidates for office. You've got, let's see, John Roca is running for Congress in the 6th District. You've got you got 2 people running for state rep, Angela Rigas and Melissa Carone. And Ryan Kelly is running for governor. And then Matt DePerno, I don't know. We know he's raised some money for election-related litigation. Is all of that going to be put into this? And would that be enough? It's only, I think he's raised something like $400,000. And some of that's probably already been spent in the Antrim County lawsuit, which I think he said he was appealing. So how much more of that money is going to that? We don't know. Joe Van Pulitzer, I don't know how much money he's planning to put into this project. He doesn't live in Michigan, so we'll see. But that's the other thing, is it really does take a substantial amount of money to be able to pull off a project like this. It can't just happen. The grassroots can't just make it happen all by themselves. We all wish it wasn't like that in politics, but the reality is going out and collecting 350,000 signatures involves personnel. It involves professional staff. It involves attorneys. It involves field organizers. And there's a very short amount of time, 6 months, to collect 350,000 signatures. It really does take a lot of work and therefore a lot of money. But let's say we're able to accomplish both of these things. They write their language, they get it approved, they get it funded, they get the signatures. Now, the next thing that would have to happen is that the legislature would have to vote to make it a law without the governor's veto, or else it goes to the ballot in November 2022. Now, this, in my view, is very unlikely because, first of all, no Democrats are going to vote for this, obviously. So the Republicans will have to pass it, and they have to pass it in both chambers. And the majorities are not big. They only have, I think, 3 seats in either chamber. So if just 2 Republicans flip and say, no, we don't want to do this, then it would go to the ballot in November 22. And we've already seen in the Senate, 3 senators signed on to an inflammatory report attacking Matt DePerno, saying we don't want to see any more forensic audits at this time. We don't see there's any reason to. And you have to remember, many of these state lawmakers are retiring at the end of next year. They're not subject to re-election. They're term limited. So unless they're running for higher office, they're retiring. And therefore, they are not subject to grassroots pressure. They're looking for their next job, which oftentimes with politicians is being lobbyists. So, all they have to do to not be able to pass this is have just a couple of lawmakers vote no. And the more likely outcome, if they don't have the votes to pass it, is that leadership doesn't bring it up for a vote at all, because they know if it goes up for a vote, any lawmaker seeking re-election is going to be in one of 2 positions. Either they vote yes for a forensic audit and the Republicans will be happy, and the Democrats will be absolutely furious, and the media will go after them, and it'll be a huge headache for them running for re-election, being on record supporting the audit. Or they vote no, then the media is happy with them, but the grassroots hates their guts, and they're facing re-election, and the grassroots is mad because they voted no on a forensic audit. Either way, they lose, politically speaking. Now, again, the policy, obviously, a forensic audit would be great, but if they don't have the votes, they don't have the votes. And if they don't have the votes, they won't even take a vote on it. So what would happen next? It would go on the November 2022 ballot. Now, think about the timing of all of this. They're saying here, it says in this article, they're hoping to get the signatures for the Board of Canvassers by October 2021. I think what they meant by that is because there's no time to get 350,000 signatures in, a month and a half. I think what they mean by that is they hope to get the language to the Board of State Canvassers by October. So that's October. And they've got 6 months to collect the signatures. Now we're out to next April. The Secretary of State might delay. She delayed it, I think, 5 months for Unlock 1. She probably wouldn't get away with that much of a delay this time. It'd probably be, maybe 3 months, but still, that's 3 months. So now we're out till July of 2022. That would just barely get onto the ballot in November 2022, by which point most voters will think, this is ancient history by now. Or maybe they'd won audit, but they'll have all kinds of technical reasons why. And the opposition's not going to take this lying down. They're going to say, we can't do this. It's a witch hunt. The machines are needed for the next election. And they'll make every excuse, and it will be attacked and attacked and attacked and attacked in the media. And when proposals are on the ballot, it's very hard to get them to pass unless you have a very clear issue that voters understand. Because in addition to the left arguing against it and all the reasons they'll concoct, they can also make up things. And if voters get the impression this is too complicated, this is partisan, yada, 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 voters are more inclined to vote no on a proposal. And of course, being on the November 2022 ballot, all of the effort that the grassroots would put into putting this into succeeding on the ballot is energy they don't have for campaigns. For the Attorney General race, the Secretary of State race, the governor race, the state house races, the state senate races, congressional races. All of that energy will be diverted into trying to get voters to vote yes on a proposal to audit an election that will by then already be 2 years into the past. So these are a lot of challenges. Are they going to be able to raise the money? Well, remember I pointed out that several of these people are running for office. Now, I would submit if you are running for office and you are not putting every bit of time and money and energy possible into your campaign, you are betraying your donors and your volunteers. They're supporting you because they want you to be their representative. They want you to work your absolute tail off to win your race. So how much money and time do you think Melissa Carone, Angela Rigas, Ryan Kelly, and John Rocha are going to put into this campaign when they're also starved for cash in their own campaigns? I'm guessing zero, folks. So can they raise the money? Will they have the time? Will they even get the language right? We'll see. But these are all, and will it pass the legislature if they get the signatures? I think that's extremely unlikely. And therefore, in the best possible case for them, if they get the signatures, they get the language, it means they're going to be fighting on the November 2022 election for an audit of the previous election. And by the way, I would point out also, what exactly is the forensic audit going to prove? That the election was stolen? I think there's enough evidence we can say right from the get-go that we already have. The process by which most ballots in Michigan were counted was improper. The Court of Claims said so. They didn't do proper signature verification. Right there. That means that absentee ballots, most ballots, were not processed properly, and we don't know how many ballots that would impact. The legal standard for an election to be considered invalid is supposed to be if the number of ballots whose legitimacy is questionable exceeds the margin of the victory for a candidate. And it's well over that. It's more than half of all ballots. You know, there was the impeding of poll challengers, some of the other things that they mentioned in this letter. So, you know, will this succeed or will this be a huge waste of energy? Well, you be the judge. We'll know more if and when the language comes out. We'll see what they come up with. So anyway, that's all we got for today. Just wanted to share this with you if you haven't seen this already. Those are my thoughts about it. So but let me know your thoughts in the comments. Be sure you like, share, subscribe if you like this kind of content. Obviously, YouTube is not helping us out with getting views on our site. We're also on Rumble, so you can check us out there too. And we're also going to be starting a locals community. So be sure to check out rescuemichigan.locals.com. It's brand new, so there's not much there yet, but we're going to start putting more content on there as well. So hey guys, thanks again for all you do for liberty. Peace.